Welcome back into Sports Memos Betting Podcast, college football, every game on the board, segment number 4 with our closer, Teddy Covers. Teddy, welcome into the pod. How are you?
Hey, great to be here. Drew, how are you today, buddy?
I'm doing good, Teddy. We're starting off here this section 189, 190. That's FIU, FAU, and we're going down to San Jose State, Hawaii. That's the last game on the board here. So just a short card for this segment. We also have a question and answer at the end of the podcast for the first time because it's a shorter segment. So thanks to everybody on Twitter who shouted out some questions. We'll bounce them off of Teddy. We got Vegas lifestyle questions. We got lifestyle as a sports bettor questions. We got profile of bet questions coming up at the end. But Teddy, let's start off at the top of this segment card here. 189, 190 FIU at FAU, the Shula Bowl in Boca Raton this year. We're seeing FAU minus 10, 58.5 being the total. Two head coaches here, Teddy. Butch Davis, Lane Kiffin, kind of big names, at least in the South Florida community anyway. So it's a fun one. I think FAU is the more talented team overall. FIU, a little bit more volatile, so you'd think that their motivation would be there here for their arch rivals, so to speak, down there in South Florida. But overall, any interest in getting involved, FIU versus FAU?
Well, the thought process on a lot of these rivalry games is let's take the points, let's take the points, let's take the points. And we have two coaches that both didn't last very long at Tennessee matching up against one another. It makes it even more like, okay, the coaches, there's no love lost here between these two programs. All that said, we also have a better team who's motivated. And Kiffin has not been shy about punching in the extra touchdown against Florida International. This is like a Kansas State, Kansas type of scenario where the big brother doesn't want the little brother to even think about getting there. And FIU's the little brother in this series right now. So, my initial gut reaction of, hey, let's look at the dog in the rivalry game, not this one.
I got you, Teddy. And Teddy, we only have a couple games here and the full slate of time for the pod. Just want to bounce a question off of you for Lane Kiffin. His name's been thrown out there for the Florida State job. Want to get your overall opinion on Florida State, but also with Lane Kiffin. One thing I do in Conference USA and Sunbelt is I'll listen to like the local radio stations. They'll usually have the coach on and hear what he talked about last weekend, the week before. That's kind of a good advantage out there for sports bettors, something I recommend. Lane Kiffin goes to a restaurant down there in Boca Raton. He drives his boat there, by the way. He's getting paid $1 million a year to live in Boca Raton. It's going to take a heck of a job to get him out of this FAU job, Teddy. I don't think he's leaving for, Illinois or a job like that. It's going to have to be a big job in the Power 5 conference. One, do you think Lane Kiffin leaves? And two, do you think he goes to Florida State and this whole situation there? What's going on with the Seminoles?
Well, I mean, if Lane Kiffin went to Florida State, he'd have the exact same problem that Willie Taggart had at Florida State, being that he was left a cupboard that wasn't full on the offensive line. And you and I both know, Drew, we spend a lot of our time talking about the trenches and analyzing who's going to win the battle of the trenches and what offensive line is good and what isn't. Don't worry, I'll get to Kiffin. It's coming. But, Taggart getting shown the door after 18 games was entirely due to the fact that, shouldn't say entirely, was in part due to the fact that he had a real problem on the offensive line. And when you don't have an offensive line, you can't create that by finding some frosh that'll come in and give you a skill position talent boost or some frosh that can come in and start at cornerback right away. It takes time to build an offensive line. It takes time to build a program. Kiffin's never been anywhere long enough to truly build something to sustain success. And my impression of him has always been that he's the type of guy that wants that marquee job. Florida State probably is that job. This is a school that was competing for national titles, 6-7 years ago, not long ago, playing for national titles, I should say. They were competing for national titles, in the Jimbo Fisher era, and he hasn't been gone that long. So I would think it would be the type of attractive job. And come on, he can find another $1 million house with a boat that he can take that he can go to the restaurant with. That's Florida, isn't it? The whole state's like that.
Yeah, it gets cold there in the northern part of Florida, so maybe not so much in November and December, Teddy.
Then I mean, there's good reasons to hang in Boca. Boca's a nice place. But I tend to think that Kiffin is one of these guys that is ambitious more than lifestyle wise, and that means that he's not going to be Kirk Ferentz and hang out in Iowa. He's gonna he's gonna find a bigger job if the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, it's a fascinating thing to see what happens with Lane Kiffin, Joey Fishwater himself. We got Utah State at Fresno State up next in the Mountain West, Teddy. This is rotation number 191-192, 58 being the total, -5.5 here. The Bulldogs laying in the Valley.
So unfortunately, one of the things I don't like about the back end of the card this week and being the closer this week, I really don't like a lot of these games. And this is one, I'm not close. I'm not close on Utah. Utah State's not good this year, and we've seen it now. I think the Wake game early kind of teased people that maybe the Gary Anderson era will be just like the previous eras at Utah State, and it hasn't been. From a pure talent standpoint, Utah State brought an edge in recent years. That edge isn't there, and their talent isn't that great. And Fresno's not a team I want to lay points with. Fresno. Again, they got the win against Hawaii last week. Hawaii's defense is not Utah State's defense is better than Hawaii's defense. Fresno's compared to last year, they're a good notch or two down, and I think the markets are giving them a little bit too much respect. So I don't want either side here. Easy pass.
This is the College Football Every Game on the Board podcast, segment number 4. The first 3 podcasts for this week are up at sportsmemo.com. Also, the podcast you can consume wherever you're consuming your podcast and simulcast on YouTube each and every week. So if you want to put a face with the voice, check it out on YouTube as well. Please give us the thumbs up, the like button. That will help us out. Teddy, heading to the Big Ten next. Ranked here. Iowa at Wisconsin. We got 38 being the total. Yes, sub 40 total in college football. -8.5 or -9. That's the Wisconsin Badgers laying in Camp Randall.
First one to 20 wins. I can understand this total being where it is, and I sure wouldn't bet it over. I don't bet a lot of college football totals in the 30s under, but that's the way I would have to look here. But it really comes down to one question in my mind, and I think that if you're going to bet over only correlates with Wisconsin. It's favorite and over here. It's not like Iowa is going to explode offensively and get 4 touchdowns against this Badgers defense. It's not going to happen. Iowa's, pedestrian quarterback, limited skill position talent. They don't run the football particularly effectively, and they're going up against a good defense. But the question is, what the Badgers have left in the tank after the loss to Illinois and then the beat down by Ohio State. They have had a bye. They have had time to rest and recuperate. They're saying the right things. They played dominant football at home this year. But if the Hawkeyes can stop Jonathan Taylor and Iowa, no one's really run on Iowa this year. That's been a good run defense. And even the games they lost against Michigan, against Penn State, it's not like either one of those two teams moved the ball on the ground or moved the ball at all in those games. And if Taylor can't run, Wisconsin ain't covering double digits. Cohn is not a quarterback who I trust to throw the football down the field into the end zone repeatedly. So, Badgers, 5 straight unders? Maybe you do play the under. But if you make a case for the over, it can only be for Wisconsin and Taylor having success and making some big plays against an Iowa defense that hasn't given up a lot of big plays this season.
Yeah, Teddy, I'm with you. I like the under as well. It's just the fact of, can the Hawkeyes stop the Badgers' running attack? And in your opinion, can they?
I think they're live to do it. Again, Wisconsin's had a special home field edge this year. And the 2 games they lost are both on the highway. Now they're back at home. And that does concern me. But I haven't seen anybody run on Iowa this year. And when I don't trust my, if I don't see the favorite of more than a touchdown being able to run the football and they have a suspect quarterback, I ain't laying the points.
Gotcha, Teddy. Good stuff there in the Big Ten. Let's head out west for the last 3 on the card here. We got the Cougars and the Golden Bears. Washington State at California. 51.5 the total in Berkeley. -7 in the hook. That's Washington State laying on the highway.
Yeah, both teams coming off the bye. It might be cheap. There's a chance Modster's back for Cal this week. If not, it's going to be the 3rd stringer. Frankly, I don't know that there's that big of a difference. I'm not a Devin Monster fan. And if you've been betting on the Bears, you're not a Devin Monster fan either. Cal's another team that's done nothing but cash under ticket. I think the cash one over ticket all year. It's as bad an offense as there is in the Pac-12 by a fairly wide margin, and they're facing one of the good offenses in the Pac-12. And I understand the defensive pedigree of the Golden Bears, but I can't trust that team to score, and that means I don't want them. Road chalk. You look at Wazoo down the stretch, Cal, Stanford, Oregon State, and then Washington in their finale. They're a team that can go in a second half run. They're 4-4 right now, and I think they're probably a little bit better than their record might indicate.
Teddy, we got 2 games left. Degenerate specials, so to speak. 10:30 Eastern kick for the first one, and then we got an 11 o'clock Eastern kick with Hawaii playing a home game. So if you're in on a Saturday night, it's great for a sports bettor here. We got ESPN2 broadcasting Nevada at San Diego State here. Aztecs laying 17.5 at home, 39 the total in Southern California.
So San Diego State, another team that's been cashing nothing but under. I think they cashed one over all year for San Diego State. And other than that, straight unders. So this is the easiest pass on the board. All right. From a side standpoint, Nevada has shown quit in multiple games this season, at home, on the road. When they're beat, they lay down. If you try to lay points with Rocky Long and San Diego State, laying double digits with you can't do it. The offense is so pedestrian. It's so ham and egg. It doesn't matter if the other team's laying down. They still can't score. Can't play this game, man. It's just a flat-out pass. And these are, this is a conference that I follow. It's the 2 teams that I pay attention to. And I don't want either one. And I clearly don't want either one,
All right, Teddy. Well, last game up, and I believe this is the one you had the strongest opinion on. This is the degenerate of all degenerate specials. And, of course, we don't want any listeners out there to chase, and we don't want any listeners to bet too much if you've had a winning day. But if you're looking for a little action late on Saturday night, hopefully we point you on the right direction here. Talking rotation number 199-200, bottom of the card, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific kick here. This one on Facebook Live, I believe also on Stadium TV here. San Jose State at Hawaii on the island. Rainbow Warriors laying 877 being the total here, Teddy.
And that's an important disclaimer, I mean, we joke about it, late night bailout special or, degenerate special, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
If you have a crappy Saturday, leave this game alone. Flat out. Come back, get them on Sunday, get them on Monday, get them next week. That's my advice. I know no one's going to listen to it if they have a crappy Saturday. Hopefully you have a great Saturday. You're like, yeah, whatever. Let's try for one more at the end. That's fine. What we saw last week is what we're going to see this week. San Jose can chuck the football around, all right? Love's in form. They can run. They can pass. The offensive line's protecting the quarterback. This is a football team that, against Hawaii's defense, should be able to move the ball up and down the field. And I understand they played at Army, and then they played at home against Boise. Now they're 3 time zones west, and maybe they run out of juice. That's a possibility. But I tend to think that this offense is Hawaii is not an elite defense. 59, 56, 31, 41 the last 4 weeks, giving up 500 yards every game. They can't stop the run. They really can't stop the pass. And that's what San Jose does well. And guess what Hawaii does well? If they can chuck the football around. And San Jose, Boise, when Boise finally got it together last week, there was no chance San Jose had a stopping them. They're undersized defensively, a little bit slower defensively. It's not an elite defense by any stretch of the imagination. And it's a big game for Hawaii. They lost one last week. They're at 5 wins. They're going for bowl eligibility. They're not going to stop scoring if they get the chance. So there's been a little bit of under money. Not my money, Drew Martin. If I'm playing this one, this is a fun one for late night bailout special. Expect touchdowns. I think it goes over.
All right, great stuff on the games, Teddy. We got question and answer section coming up here, guys. But want to first get out the podcast.
Let me jump from one second. Again, I just saw this and I wanted to mention it. If you're talking about laying points with Hawaii, 4-17 Their last 21 tries, they have not been a good favorite, and that's definitely worth mentioning. And that's, although they did cover as road favorites against New Mexico State, I don't, well, they weren't favorites at Nevada. As home favorites, even the game against Oregon State, they didn't cover. You know, they were laying 4.5, and that's the only time they've been home chalk this year against a D1 foe.
Interesting. Good stuff there. 4-17 is favorite. Last 21. Like it, Teddy. And guys, the podcast coupon code here covers 199. That's COVERS 199 at checkout for Teddy Covers 30-day all access package at sportsmemo.com. $126 off. Huge savings there. Good for 48 hours. That coupon code is covers 199 at checkout for its 30-day all access package. And with the short card here on this segment, we have a little question and answer.
I'm jumping in one more time. I'm jumping in again because it's just to be very clear, 4-17 as a home favorite for Hawaii. You can lay points to them on the road. You can't lay points to them at home. And if we're gonna give it, it's got to be clear.
So it's not a good trend there.
You're throwing knives at me with your eyes right now, Drew. I love it.
No, I'm not.
Let me introduce.
No, it's good, man.
What else you got, man? All right. Yeah. So it's a short. I mean, we only had a few games on the 6 games. So wherever you want to go, buddy, let's go. Throw some Q&A. I'm fascinated. What do they want to know? What are the tour guys
no knives thrown at you, Teddy, at all. You can interrupt and throw out the stats at all, man. 4-17 as a home favorite. That's the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors, and now they are laying 8. So that points me in the San Jose State direction here, Teddy. Although the
problem is San Jose is out of gas. You know, that they could be out of gas. And the market said that today. With the money that came on San Jose today, or on Hawaii today, to push that line 7.5 to 8, that was the betting market saying we don't trust San Jose this week.
All right, Teddy.
Obviously, from given the travel. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, you're fine. We got question and answers coming up right now, Teddy. What's your favorite sports book in Las Vegas?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I like the classics. I like Superbook, at the Westgate. That would probably be at or near the top of my list. What about you, Drew? What's your favorite sports book?
Yeah, I'm pulling up all the questions right now on Twitter. Thanks, guys, for shouting these out. I would say my favorite sports book here. Now, granted, I've only lived here for 2 months since the start of football season, but I've been to a bunch even before then. I would say, if you're more of a drinker, I would say the Palms. They got dollar beers during games.
Sure. And it's CG book. And I was actually thinking about the Palms is a really nice place to hang out in the book. The casino's okay.
Yeah. Same thing with Westgate, by the way.
The Cosmo's nice, man. That's another good, nice CG book.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is, Teddy. And with the Westgate, the book is really nice. Outside of that, though, man, that area isn't necessarily the most polished area, Teddy. So if you're getting
not at all. South Point, again, it's on Strip. It's South Strip. South Point, you can smoke for smokers. They want to know that. Most of the books now are non-smoking. I like watching downtown too. I'm really excited for the Cirque book. I'll tell you, at Cirque is going to be the best book in town when it opens.
Yeah,
super excited about that.
And of course, Circa opening the college football market here. I'll throw out another couple, like Red Rock. If you're looking to get off strip, I like Red Rock a lot, Teddy. On the strip, I like, and if you're more of a partier, it's kind of a live scene there. Caesars. I like Caesars Sportsbook. Also, pretty good scenery outside of just sports betting.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean.
Any of the high end strip properties, you're not going wrong, dude. For scenery or for like the Bellagio book is gorgeous, but there's not that many seats. Easier to get in there on a Saturday than on a Sunday.
I like the Wynn Sportsbook too.
Sure.
Although keep in mind,
and the Wynn doesn't have the nice seats. They got seats stacked up against us. In part, so there's at least some spaces to sit there where you're not. It's like only 6 chairs to a row or something.
Teddy, we got another question here. Favorite restaurants?
The link. I have to promote the link. The link is good. That's new and redone, and it is nice. I was there for a Super Bowl party, and it was really nice. Go on.
Okay. More questions here. Favorite restaurant And throw out more than one if you want. And also favorite strip club in Vegas.
Dude, I don't go to this strip club anymore.
I'm just asking the questions. Okay.
Honestly, this is the truth. Okay, you're not going to go wrong at one of the strip clubs. Okay, you're not. One of the major strip clubs in town.
Okay.
The Rhino. I was always a fan. When I used to go to the strip club, I was always a fan of the Rhino. I thought the girls there would do more than the girls other places.
Okay.
Oh goodness. Yeah. But that was years ago. You know, I honestly, the last time I went to a strip club was Leon's bachelor party, and that's at least, God, that's probably like 6 years ago now. You know, we went to Hustler Club, and that was rocking too. You know, Hustler Club's fine. What was the other one? Restaurant?
Yeah, restaurant. You want to throw any out there?
Again, you're not going to go wrong. There's like, if you're talking about the Strip, there's more like 5-star restaurants per square mile on the Strip than there is anywhere in the world. You know, there are so many good restaurants at Bellagio and Venetian. I mean, on and on down the line. But as locals, I don't eat on the Strip. You know, it's crazy pricey. You know, and you pay half off Strip. I can give you a great sushi place. You know, Sushi Fever. I'll always recommend the Fever for a great sushi place. But that's off Strip, and it's well off Strip. You don't necessarily want to even Uber out there. And I'm a big fan of Hobak. If you like Korean barbecue, that's really good. And Lotus, I have to say Lotus for Thai food. That's some of the best Thai food you'll have in the world.
I'm writing these down, Teddy.
Sure. That's three. There are 3 restaurants that I frequent on occasion.
Hobak. Is that the place we went?
Hobak. Hobak. Yeah, but the problem is it's packed, dude. That place, it's hard to get into, and they don't have reservations anymore. So sometimes you have to wait.
What about that strip of like Chinatown? I've driven down.
Sure, but it's not a strip. It's a 2 miles now. You know, it's not. I mean, it's a whole. It's a big strip of Chinatown. That's where Hobak is. It's towards the end. Is it past Jones? It's almost all the way to Jones on between Decatur and Jones is what you think of the main Chinatown area, and Hobak is almost all the way to Jones on the north side.
And is that place safe? I haven't gotten out. Okay. Are there any places in Vegas where people need to watch out, like not go to that section of town?
I mean, when you're downtown, you want to hang out in the Fremont Street area. You know, I wouldn't walk north off of Fremont Street. You know, I wouldn't more than a couple of blocks. You know, I'm talking about, the area around Fremont Street is safe. But if you're walking, 8 blocks out of Fremont Street, you can be in a really rough neighborhood. But same thing, whatever. If you're on the Strip and you walk east, you ever go hang out behind Bally's and go and start walking that way?
Only when we're driving to the studio. That's the only time I go over to that.
Sure, towards Cole, past Koval and Paradise. That's not a nice part of town.
Okay.
But it sounds like you're going to, by accident, end up there in either place. You have to actively be trying to go to, let's check out this bad neighborhood,
Okay. Teddy, we got a question here more towards sports betting. Profile of a sports bet that's your favorite.
Oh, I know exactly what my favorite bet is. I love season win bets. I think season win bets are as good a bet as you can find out there.
Yeah.
You take away the variance from any given game, and you put the variance down to any given season. And if you do your homework, I think year in, year out, you can find good opportunities. But it's a boring bet to make in the sense of you got to, you make your bet here and then you collect it, after Christmas or NBA season wins. You're like, all right, well, I'll talk to you in April. It's not an exciting bet, and that's in some ways why it's as good a bet as it is.
And it's not as expensive either, -110. The fact, Teddy, for like newer bettors or guys that don't need action all the time, it's cool. Like if you're just checking in on scores on Sunday or on Saturday, like, oh yeah, that team that I bet, they won, good, stuff like that. So
totally, you have action all year long on whatever team you're in that sense. You're absolutely right. I say it's boring, but it's also a cost-effective way to have action every week.
Yeah, that's a well worded thing. Cost-effective way to have action for a long period of time. Yeah. Okay. Personal question here, Teddy, and if you don't want to answer it, that's fine. How is being married in a sports bettor? Is any advice to the guys out there that are married and going into this more hardcore.
I think honestly, it's impossible to train your wife. If you are the way you are, and I that's a really horrible way to phrase that.
If you are. Okay.
It's impossible to train your wife. So there's two things to consider. One is when I started doing this, I was single. And two is when my wife moved to Las Vegas to be with me, she made this is what I do, and you're going to have to build your life around what I do. So she made that acceptance.
Sacrifice.
Yeah, I wasn't going to use that word.
Okay.
Because it's whatever. It's not a sacrifice. I mean, yeah, I guess she has to sacrifice all of her weekends. But so what? Sacrifice, schmacrifice. I don't have to put on a tie every day, dude, and I've never had to go to work some stupid 9-to-5 job, and and I'm a happier man because of it, and that's the truth of it. And I'm probably a better husband because of it. So it's a trade-off. It's not I would have been pretty miserable, I think, if I'd have been working in a cubicle every day. I don't think that I was built to that. But to get back to the point, because I know a lot of you guys do, and I feel, you don't have to. But to get from here to there, if you're already in a relationship, you're like, all right, sweetheart, I'm going to become a sports bettor. It's a really hard sell. I think you have to already be a sports bettor, and then it's much easier to say, hey, this is what I do. And then the girl's like, okay, or not okay. But if you're doing it and you're reasonably successful at it, it can be an attractive profession at glance before they realize that you have to work every day and never get weekends off.
Teddy, in my past relationship, one thing that she told me that kind of stuck with me is when you have a bad Saturday, you're in a bad mood the rest of the day, and You're not fun to be around. How do you? And she was right. And sure enough, we're not together anymore. But I'm trying to use your advice in finding, a happiness in the future. How do you do that with your personal life off of a bad day?
So I was the exact same way. I mean, I don't think there's any of us that's not that way. Look, if you have a crap ass day, and whether you were wrong about stuff, or whether you got bad beats, or whether you almost hit something and didn't, and you're frustrated that way. I mean, there's a lot of different, even on winning days, a lot of times I'm super frustrated, it's just the nature of the game. But before I met Cara and after I met Cara, that didn't change, and it hasn't changed to this day. What has changed, and this is, I'm lucky, I'm luckiest in, Isaac, my kid, and that's something that some people have kids and some don't. But I just like, Dad, come on, let's go do this, and it melts. It really helps so much, and I think it's made me a better. The first year with a kid was a really hard adjustment. I lost. That was the worst year I've ever had as a handicapper. And I haven't always had great ones, but that was as bad as it gets because I really had a really hard time adjusting work-life balance and adjusting to, what the adjustments you have to make doing this and having a child. And as it got figured out, things got better. But it's initially it was really hard. Now it's nothing but a benefit, because I see my kid, and he was like, and he doesn't care if I won or lost. All he cares about is what's Dad want to do, and it helps take the edge off a lot. A bad day, and that's good because it allows me. Because when you have a bad day, sometimes you don't get back and sit down and at the computer when you're supposed to be sitting down at the computer and getting your stuff done when you're sitting down, and it gets delayed, and you're like, I'll put it off till tomorrow. Fuck, and I don't want to do that. I like my routine, and when I have the chance to burn some of that anger off and reset with the boy, I can get back on. I put him to bed and I get back in the computer and I'm cranking away and I'm getting my work done off a bad day just as much as I do off a good day, and that's really helped me, in that sense. But if you don't have a kid, there's no. I don't know that and that's my kid. I don't know that everyone has that and my kid is at the perfect age where everything's cute and cool and all of that, which it won't always be, obviously, but I'm super lucky in that regard, at least for now. But you have to find something. I mean, that's it. Do you work out? Obviously, clearly you work out, but I mean, a lot of people. One of the things I found people find that helps is, if you do some physical exercise of one sort or another afterwards, and burn some of that off after you've had a rough time, and then you can come back and kind of reset because you've done. You do your workout. You take a shower and you come out and you're all right, hon. What do we got to do? Let's go out tonight. It's all right, it's okay. You see what I'm saying? Was that long?
Yeah.
I don't know if I went long there. Was that too personal?
No, it was great, Teddy. Love it for the podcast. And guys out there, if you're liking this sort of section of the podcast, some personal questions for Teddy Covers, let us know in the comments section. Reach out on Twitter at Teddy_Covers or at Drew Martin Betts. We'll try to do this from time to time every couple months or so on a short card, Teddy, so we can get it in at the end, because I know a lot of guys like to reach out and ask questions. So, guys, remember
I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm happy to answer. I really am. I have no, I try to be as honest as I can on the pod. I try to be as honest as I can in my life. There's no freaking reason. It is what it is. And I know that I do something that people are interested in, and some of them want to try to do it, or some of them want to know how I deal with it. I'm happy to answer your questions, guys, as best I can. And if we get a bunch of questions, let's do it more than once every couple of months. Okay, I'm happy.
Yeah. Let us know, guys, if you want us to do this more. Of course, the college football every game on the board, NFL opening line report, NFL every game on the board. That's not going anywhere. So, guys, don't worry about that. We'll just add it on to the end whenever we have a short card. But he is Teddy Covers, and get his month package here for just $199, less than $200. Get every play and every sport he releases for the next 30 days. Sportsmemo.com, Covers 199 at checkout. Teddy, great pod, man. Anything else you want to throw out there before we shut this down?
Enjoy the games and good luck.
All right, guys, best of luck, and we'll talk tomorrow. NFL Every Game on the Board podcast with Robbie Veno in Minty Bets. Best of luck with your bets. Talk tomorrow.